Hey, what's up, guys? Tyson here. Thanks for joining me today. Today's going to be a bit different. Should be pretty fun. Something I enjoy quite a bit is essentially we're going to be talking about sports cards as an investment and as a hobby. And it's something that I've been into a bit, especially lately. But I'll just basically what I'm going to do is just share just a little bit about the hobby along with what I've been getting into lately, a little bit of the backstory about cards and so forth. And then I'm going to share 20 of the cards that I have got over the last number of years that I've gotten. I even have some from my childhood that ended up being worth a decent amount of money. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the whole card market and so forth. But I'm going to give everyone just a few more minutes or let's just say a few more seconds to get on and join us here. And feel free, if you have any sort of questions, comments or anything, I'm going to try to get Facebook and everything up so I could see any questions that come up in case I don't explain it well enough. Feel free to shoot me questions and I'd be happy to answer anything. But this is a fun topic for me just because I enjoy sports and I enjoy investing and I enjoy just really the sports cards I got into when I was probably around 7 or 8 years old. Back in the day, I was living in Arizona and I would go to all the sports games with my grandpa. He'd take me to the high school sports, college sports, and I just loved it. Ever since I was little, I'm thinking probably 5, 6 years old, we would go to the various games. And so ever since that time of just going to different sporting events, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, my grandpa was really into sports. And so from an early age, I really got into it. I want to say that even when I was around, maybe 6, 7 years old or so, he would always count on me keeping track of how many points each of the players had and just got really into it. And during that time, that's back in the 80s and 90s, I started collecting sports cards. It was just a fun hobby, something I enjoyed to do. And as a kid, I think it got really trendy in the 80s and the 90s. And so you just saw lots of kids jumping into the hobby. And of course, including myself. But what happened is it was so trendy during that time and so popular that a lot of the producers of cards, which included companies like Topps, Upper Deck, Donruss, Fleer, and a few others, they were producing just lots and lots of cards during that time period back in the 80s and 90s. And because they produced so much of it, cards today in that era, unless they're very specific players' cards and in good condition, are not worth very much. There's a few exceptions, of course. But that's when I got into the cards and just following sports. It's something I enjoyed. My mom would always tell people how I would every morning read the newspaper and I would just study the stats, whether it was baseball, basketball, football. But I was always into sports. And so getting into sports cards was really easy for me because it was kind of like gambling, and at the same time being able to get cards that you and your buddies would trade, or it was just something fun to do, and you wanted to collect the players you liked, and you wanted to have the better cards and good cards and all that stuff, and so got into it in the 80s, the 90s, sometime in the 90s. I can't remember exactly what year, but I want to say probably 93, 94 time frame. I got out and just obviously got focused more on other things, school and work and, everything else. But then again, just maybe a year or two ago, I jumped back into the card market after I started hearing Gary Vee, who I respect, and I think he's a great guy. And Maddie, don't be telling people to get on. But anyway, so I jumped back in the card market because Gary Vee was talking all about it. And of course, I remember back in the day in the 80s and 90s, I had no money, whatever my parents would give me to purchase and for my birthdays and Christmas and whatnot, I'd get some cards. But now I'm back into it and collecting. And obviously it's a bit different, right? Because now it's like I've got a career and making money and all that good stuff to where I can actually buy some of the cards that I want. And so what's happened is essentially over the last couple of years, the card market has been on, it's been on fire. And a lot of people are starting to get into it because of people like Gary Vee and many other influencers, whether they be Instagram, YouTube influencers, or just celebrities, even athletes and so forth are getting into it, to where it's becoming trendy and a lot of people are starting to collect. And what that does is once more people are getting into the market, of course, it's just like real estate, right? Once the demand increases, and if you have limited supply, well, shoot, that limited supply is going to continue to go up and up and up because you have more and more people pursuing particular cards. And of course, if there's limited supply, well, that means those cards are going to go up. And so because we started, or Gary Vee, and then I started to study it and just see what was going on with the card market, I saw that the trend definitely was increasing in the card market. And so I got back in and I would say that the majority of the cards I've invested in over the last couple years, and I don't even think I've been back in it for more than 2 years. It's probably just been a bit over a year. Most of the cards are up 100% plus. So we're talking, and there's even some cards, which I'll go through here in just a minute, that are up 4x, 5x, and even more than that. And so just to give you a quick example, this was just a couple days ago, 2 Michael Jordans, actually it was 4 Michael Jordans sold for around $700,000 each. These were cards that you could pick up probably a matter of 3 to 6 months ago for $20,000, or I think maybe a little bit more than that, maybe $20,000 or $40,000 or so, but now they're going for $700,000. And it's a particular rookie card, which is usually the most desirable card of a player. It's like one of their first cards, and in the best condition, well, those are the cards that are worth the most. And so essentially, that card, PSA 10, which just means it's like pristine, really good condition, gem mint condition, and there's companies that will grade the cards and give it a grade based upon its condition. You can sell those cards for obviously big money, $700,000 for Michael Jordans. And keep in mind, they keep track of how many 10s they have and 9s and so forth. They call it a population report. And of 10s, I believe it's a little over 300 Michael Jordan rookie cards, which is, I believe it's Fleer, in a 10 are going for $700,000. So there's 300 in the world, right? And they're worth $700,000 a piece at this time, right? The market goes up and down. Currently, it's just been skyrocketing. And so that's kind of what's going on with the market is you just have more and more people getting into the market. There's limited supply because once they produce a product, they produce it and then they stop and then they go on to the next product. And so it's almost like any sort of collectible, whether it be a comic book or a record or anything like that. I guess you could even compare it with vehicles and stuff. But to the point where they like currently, I think the reason why it's exploded so much recently, and those cards are going for 700,000 when they were just going for 30, 40, 50,000, is that we're starting to see this trend of just more and more money get into the market. And you know how it goes with people who have money. It's like once you have like, if it becomes, or it already has become somewhat trendy to where if you have a lot of money, you want the best of the best. You want to be able to show it off, and you want to, like, there's guys that purchase these cards that probably it's just more than anything, it's just something that they could show off. Hey, I bought this $700,000 card and hold on to it. And there's a chance that card, or not even a chance, I think it's pretty much guaranteed those cards are going to be worth over $1 million in a matter of just a few months. But so not only is it just something that they can showcase their buddies, but now that a lot of people with lots of money are getting into the market, the card market, well, the values just keep pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And you're even seeing investment groups, investment funds, hedge funds, people seeing this opportunity to where they're seeing the card market outpace stocks, they're seeing it outpace the real estate market and other types of investment vehicles, to where a lot of people are jumping into it and just causing the prices to just accelerate even faster than I think we have ever seen ever. And I think a lot of guys who really follow sports cards are seeing the same thing and sharing the same thing. They've never seen a market where it's been accelerating to this degree and so fast. And so obviously I started to see those signs a year or two ago. And so I jumped into the market and started buying some cards. And I could tell you this, like any card I had purchased a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, today is, worth 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more today. And that's, again, just because of the things I was telling you. There's limited supply, values just keep going up because more and more people are getting into the market, which is just pushing those values up. Like any market, it could be cyclical, and it is cyclical. Off season, usually cards will flatline, or if not, sometimes even drop. Or if a player's not doing well, those cards will also drop too. But my strategy in investing in cards is I want to focus on the cards that basically the players that are GOATs, players that are Hall of Famers, players that have always done well, will continue to do well, some that have already retired, but they've already established themselves in sports. And so I've primarily invested in players like that because in my opinion, it's very low risk, right? And not only that, I love investing in the players that are the GOATs. Like, I look up to those guys and what they're able to accomplish, whether it be Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Like all those guys are just top of the game. And so I love collecting those guys because it's like they have insane work ethic, which I respect. And a lot of them just have great personalities and they're just great people. And so obviously I love not only collecting them because they're GOATs, but then also because they're good people. And then also there's an investment side to it too, is like, of course, there's very low risk because they've already established themselves as great players. And so the odds of them going from $10,000 to being worth $50 is very low because they're already established players. And so anyway, so that hopefully gives you just a little bit of a background about why I've jumped in. And when I say it's outpaced the stock market and other investment vehicles, I guess you could call it, there's statistics where the overall market as a whole, and I'm not sure exactly how they track this. I've just seen a couple stats about it. But it outpaced the stock market by a pretty significant amount. And keep in mind, this is during a time when the stock market's been killing it the last year or so. So that says a lot just about the stock market, the card market, and just how insanely hot it is. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about that, feel free. I'm going to jump into actually, I'll answer the couple of questions that I see here before I move forward to showing some of the cards, and I'll continue to explain a little bit more. Dang, I've already gone 15 minutes. Sorry, guys. So Scott, what's the best way to find, let's see, the cards and know they aren't fake? Any resources you could use to help you find these cards and know what their value is going to be? So the best way, there's a number of sites out there that you can use. Sports Card Investor Market Movers is an app that you can download. It tracks values and cards and prices and so forth. So that's a great place to track. You can also track on eBay, just seeing what's recently sold. eBay is the platform that's used the most. So you're able to see cards that are sold almost on a daily basis. And so you can see, obviously, you can see the trends and what's going on with a specific card and see where the price is most recently sold at. And so you can definitely check eBay. There's other sites called like cardladder.com, and that takes those stats from eBay and so forth to where you can go on and just really get a better understanding of where they've been selling. And they have graphs where you can see like, okay, it was selling at 5,000, now it's at 6,000, now it's at 8,000, and it just shows you the stats of the cards that have sold. And so that's a cool site to use as well. But I think one of the best sources really is eBay, just because that currently is still the most commonly used website for selling and buying cards. But there's also auctions, like Golden Auctions is, I believe, the biggest one, in which they sell a lot of the big cards. The 4 Jordans that sold, actually they report 2, but he said there were 2 more that sold off market, off the auction platform, all sold for around 700,000. He's, through that auction house, they've sold millions and millions of dollars of cards. Just in that one day, they had sold over $30 million worth of cards. And so you can also see where values are by checking out the auction. That just happened a few days ago. So you can see, I'll even share a couple of the cards that I have that went on the auction just recently and what they sold for. So that's a good way to track value. It takes a lot of time. My wife probably hates the fact that I got back into the cards because I'm always checking out the trends and seeing where things are going. And just because I enjoy it too, right? Like for me, I'm a collector, I'm an investor, and it's just a hobby. I enjoy it. I enjoy collecting the guys I like. As far as finding fakes, there's certain cards that are known to have fake copies, meaning whether it be reprints or just cards that were reproduced to look like the originals. But in many cases, it's pretty easy to tell. Although online it can be a little bit more difficult. They usually only do that on the really expensive cards. So if you're focusing more on the affordable cards, you're not going to see too many fakes. It's really like the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzkys, maybe LeBron James, and a few others that they'll actually produce some fakes. But for the most part, you're not going to come across too many fakes. And you could do a little bit more research on YouTube and stuff. But that's my 2 cents is, I have purchased a Michael Jordan on eBay and I received it and I knew immediately it was fake because the print wasn't as clear. And I do have a Michael Jordan rookie, so I compared the 2 and I could immediately tell. Texture's off and the coloring was off. It was a little blurry, just little things like that. You can usually tell. Color's usually a bit off as well. So anyway, hope that answers your question, Scott. Evan, is there a specific sport that seems to be doing better than others? Really, all sports are killing it. A lot of people say basketball is the strongest sport to jump in just because there's the biggest market with basketball. Well, supposedly, I think there's a huge market with soccer, but not too many soccer fans are really into sports cards. So I would say basketball because the Asian market loves basketball too, and they're collecting a lot of basketball. And so we're seeing the greatest appreciation on basketball. But at the same time, me saying that, I see a lot of opportunity in other sports that maybe there's not so much focus on yet, but there will be. And one of those is, obviously soccer, just because soccer is probably got to be the most popular sport worldwide. And so as more and more people get into sports cards, I think obviously more and more people are going to get into soccer sports cards. And so they've appreciated quite a bit. But I think there's still a lot of room for growth, because you look at a Michael Jordan that could sell for $700,000 in great condition. I have a Messi, who's considered the Jordan of soccer. That in a 10, there's only 30, I believe there's only like 34 10s in the world compared to Jordan's 300 something. So imagine that there's only 30 something in the world of that rookie in a 10. And it might even be less than that. And then there's only about 39s, meaning just one notch lower in condition. And I sold one of those. I have two of those. I sold one of those recently for about $30,000. I think it was $27,500, but I think that's going to continue to shoot up as well. And I believe that card in a 10 could easily be worth $1 million within a number of months. But anyway, so I think there's a lot of opportunity in soccer. Great question, Evan. Chris Lewis. Other than PSC, what are the grading companies? What other grading companies are respected and recommended? The two big ones currently are still PSA #1 and Beckett or BGS is #2. And then SGC, I would say, is right there behind them. And there's a few newcomers, but I would say those are the main three. The one that makes the most sense, in my opinion, where the cards are worth the most after you get them graded, is usually PSA. Some exceptions with Beckett if it's an autograph card. I feel like Beckett has become one of the more common for autograph cards. But those are the top three. Sorry, I didn't get your question up there. But yeah, so PSA, Beckett, and then SGC are the three main ones. And then Gary, have an old box of cards, are only cards in perfect condition we're trading. Is it worth digging through them? Hey, if you have any of the main guys, when I say the main guys, we're talking like the all-stars, the players that have been all-time greats, the Michael Jordans, the Lebron James, or in football, Jerry Rice or Joe Montana, Dan Marino, all those guys, or any, depending on the era of the cards. The main players, if they're in good condition, they're worth lots of money. If they're really old, then they could be in horrible condition and still be worth a lot of money. But I would check it out. It's worth a shot. Like, dang, imagine if you're holding on to a Michael Jordan rookie in great condition that's worth $700,000 just sitting in a shoebox in your closet. To me, that's crazy. And I bet you they're out there, right? Like, there's people that just have them stored. And Evan, okay, I'm going to jump in after this question. Feel free to put some more questions, and then I'll jump in after I show you guys my 20 top cards. And I'll try to shoot because I've already gone to 326. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there's a shop off of Winchester. Great shop, Chad and Rick over there. They're going to kill me. I can't even remember the name of it. But hopefully they chime in if anyone's watching. But yeah, there is a card shop, very good shop right here in Temecula off of Winchester, close to the freeway. Check it out. I can't remember off the top of my head for whatever reason. Anyway, but yeah, check that out. So let me jump into it because we're way past time. So first one, I'm going to basically go from 20 to #1, Legends and Legacies. Thanks, Manny. And I'm just going to go my top 20, I guess you'd say the most expensive cards I have, roughly, probably with some exceptions, just because I threw this together pretty quick. But right here, we've got a Mbappe PSA 10, like we were talking about. Let's see. So great. That just means it's in gem mint condition. This one goes for around, I want to say 5,000 to 6,000 or so. I love this card just because, again, like I was saying, I think there's a lot of opportunity with soccer. And Mbappe seems to be one of those players that's going to continue to just be an amazing player. And so I think he's going to be one of the next big name players through the number of years. He's already proven himself, and he's with PSG in France, and he's been killing it. So that's Mbappe, number 20. And then I had to throw this one in just because it's like a classic. I've had this one actually quite a while. Steve Nash up here. That basketball, that's a Steve Nash autograph basketball. This is Steve Nash's rookie, and this is a PSA 9. But what makes this one a little different, it's a refractor, which is more rare. The Kobe Bryant in a 10 in this, he's a rookie the same year as Steve Nash, goes for, I believe, $250,000, maybe more than that. But Steve Nash, this one's probably a good 5,000 or so. If it were a 10, I'd imagine this would probably be a good 20,000 or so. But of course, I love Steve Nash. One of my favorite players growing up, which is why I have the basketball, and I named my kid Nash after him. Next card is Albert Pujols. Who knows him? I think he's an underrated, undervalued player, but he had a solid career for many, many years. And this card is limited to, they only produced, I think it was, 1,250 of these, and this is a 10, which just means, again, just gem condition, PSA. That's my preferred company I like to get them graded at. And this one is going for, I could be off, guys, a little bit, but I want to say like $6,000-7,000, somewhere in there. When I bought this, I bought it maybe 2,000 or so. And so that's, 3x. And I think there's a lot of room to grow even more than that. Another card, Drew Brees. So this is graded by Beckett, like we were talking about. And of course, Drew Brees, I feel like, definite GOAT. He's put up big numbers for many, many years. Just a solid player. I think he's undervalued, underrated too. And I think at some point his cards are going to jump a little bit if someone gives them a little bit of attention. Because sometimes an influencer will just, mention these guys, and all of a sudden everyone starts jumping on the wagon and purchasing other ones. But this one is what is this? Playoff contenders autograph Drew Brees, and this one probably goes for a good 6,000-7,000 as well, somewhere in there. And next card, let's see, what number are we at? That's 4. So what is this? 15 or so. Number 15, Kobe Bryant. This card, shoot, I think I only paid like $1,000 for this. And it's currently going for a good 7,000 or so. Could be, again, I may be off. I haven't totally checked into him a lot, but Kobe Bryant, this one in a 10, you're probably looking at a good 20,000 plus on this card, but in a 9, it's a good 7,000 roughly. And again, it's just one of, he's an all-time great. You could have other cards in that set of people, players that didn't do much, and they'll be worth, pennies, right? But the greats are worth a lot of money. This is someone I've gambled on just because I'm a believer in him, and I think he's a great young player, is Luca Doncic. And this is a silver prism, 2019. It's in the 10. And these are going for about $9,000. And pretty, I wouldn't say it's super rare because Prism produced quite a bit because it's become pretty trendy. But this is the more rare version, which is why it's worth closer to $9,000. And so I just feel like if he continues to just put up big numbers and gets with a good team where they can actually win a championship and stuff, that he could easily go up even a lot more than the $9,000. Another one I picked up is Kevin Durant. This one is also a 10, Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome is, especially for some of the older cards, is one of the go-to nice cards. I want to say I picked this up for about a couple grand, and it's going for a good 8,000-9,000, I want to say now. maybe even a little bit more than that. But this one's been going up a lot, especially with everything happening with Brooklyn Nets and the big three between Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. High expectations, and he's just got to be one of the top 2-3 players in the NBA. So all-time great. And he's already got championships under his belt, and he's proven himself, and he's just insanely great player. Another one, this one, Mike Trout, this is graded by Beckett 9.5, so pretty dang good condition. It's a blue refractor, so it's limited to 150. And so this card goes for a good 10, I want to say $10,000 to $15,000. I think the last one went for like $12,000, $13,000. So somewhere in that ballpark. It's pretty rare and a desirable card. Mike Trout, most consider him the GOAT of our generation. And so he's one of the most desired cards in the hobby. Another one, this one's actually from my youth, and I found it in my collection of cards, and it actually ended up being in pretty good condition for being such an old card. This is Larry Bird Magic Johnson rookie. You can see there's actually 3 guys on here. You got Larry Bird, Julius Erving, and then we've got Magic Johnson here. So this card actually, just to give you an idea of what's been going on with the card market, this was worth like $3,000 just a few months ago, and now it's going for, I want to say $14,000, $15,000. This PSA 8, pretty dang good condition. I almost thought it would be a 9, but there's this little dent on the card, and I think I did it right before I got it graded. I put it in a case I shouldn't have put it in. That caused a little bit of a dent, but that's what happens when you don't take care of your cards. Is like a difference between an 8 and a 9. So this is worth, I want to, like I said, around $14,000, $15,000 or so. If this were a 9, it would be worth, dang, I haven't looked recently, but it's probably $70,000, $80,000, something like that. I'm sure 4x or more. But that's a great card, and that's from my youth. So that was just a good find and in good condition, and I sent it in to get graded once I got back into cards. Another one I picked up recently, I'll try to go a little quicker. Sorry, guys. This one, Patrick Mahomes, this one's going for a good $15,000. It's jumped from $8,000 to $15,000 in a matter of like 2 weeks. Yeah, you heard that. It's almost doubled in a matter of a couple of weeks. So, and this is a Prism PSA 10, Patrick Mahomes. Many consider him to be the next, great quarterback in the NFL. So, obviously, wanted to pick that up before the price got out of hand. Thank goodness I got it got it before it got up to $15,000. This one, very few of you probably know, except for the soccer fans. This one is Erling Haaland. Check him out. He's been a scoring machine with Dortmund. And this card, there's only 50 produced. It's autographed, and it's a gold Topps Chrome in a 10. So if he continues to put up the numbers he's been putting up, this could easily become a $100,000 card. Currently, it's probably $20,000, $25,000 or so. All right, guys, I think we're getting down to I don't even know where we're at right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so my 8th most valuable card currently is the Michael Jordan in an 8.5. So remember, this is the card that if you have this in a 10, it's worth $700,000. In an 8.5, which is pretty good condition, I think you could probably see centering is pretty good, corners are decent, pretty good, surface pretty good. This is going for around $20,000. And then, so anyway, Michael Jordan, guys, stud. I wish I had this. I would say I got this for, I want to say $4,500 or so. I could be wrong. But of course, it's gone up 5x in a matter of just over a year or so that I've had it. One of the first pickups I think I got from Chad, which is at that local card shop. This one, Tom Brady in a Bowman Chrome. This one is worth somewhere around $25,000. It's a 10. I want to say it's one of his most desirable cards. I think there's a lot of upside on this because he's just the GOAT of GOATs. The number of Super Bowls he's been to, MVPs and accolades and everything. Obviously, Tom Brady is well respected. This is a great card to pick up if you've got the cash. It's obviously quite a bit to purchase, but yeah, $25,000. A youngster in baseball that I like a lot, Fernando Tatis Jr. You can't see it, but I've got a jersey autographed and a bat autographed of him. Dominican player. We used to have a place in the Dominican Republic and Caribbean, and his family has a condo in the same place where we had our place. So ever since then, I would watch him in the Dominican League, playing in winter ball. And then coming here, he fortunately, started playing with the Padres. And so ever since, I've been a big fan of him just because he's a good kid, good guy, fun to watch. People love this guy. He's going to be the next face of baseball. This is a gold. Only 50 of these were produced. It's autographed. And this could, if he continues to put up big numbers this year, I could see this becoming a $100,000 card by the end of this year. Just because it's such a rare card and it's in really good condition. Centering 9.5, edges a 10, corners 9.5, surface 9.5, auto 10. And Chad at Legends and Legacies, the local Temecula shop, he helped me pick this up. He helped me pick up a lot of the cards, actually. So definitely go check out the store. Chad and Rick, they can help you out. They're awesome. But yeah, that's a cool card. It's I want to say this is currently, it's probably in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, just because there's been a lot of hype around him. He's getting a ton of publicity, and he's just a fun kid to watch. Next one is a soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a 9. This is Beckett, graded 9. A PSA graded 9 is actually worth more. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like to do more PSA. But great condition. This is a very rare card. I want to say less than 100 graded 910. I could be wrong, but it's somewhere around there. And this one, he's a great player. Yeah, I want to say he has more Instagram followers than anyone in the world, right? Like this kid, everyone follows Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a stud, greatest player, or one of the greatest players. Messi, I would say most considered Messi number 1 and Ronaldo at close number 2, if looking at stats and whatnot. But great card. This one definitely picked it up for a lot less than what it's worth now. It's worth a 10 sold for over $200,000 just a couple of days ago. So, but that's the crazy difference between a 10 going for $200,000. This 9 would probably hit $30,000 to $40,000. That's how big of a difference going from a 10 to a 9 makes. And then follow that up with a Messi. I sold one for about $27,500 a few weeks ago, and I think it would probably fetch bigger numbers now. And this is probably somewhere around the same ballpark, $30,000 to $40,000. But I could see this going up even more, even hitting potentially $100,000 plus, just because it's such a rare card. Messi 9. If I could get a 10, I would totally do it. But it's nearly impossible because there's only like 20 to 30 of them in the world. I've actually recently purchased 8 of these straight from Spain because that's where they're being produced. So I have a couple of contacts over there that help me get these. And then I send them in to be graded. So I actually have 8 more of these. I don't think I'll get any 9s, but hopefully 6, 7, 8s. If I get a 9, I'd be stoked just because obviously the 9s are worth a lot more money. And I'm continuing to buy even more because I think like the Jordan has taken off. I think the Messi's gonna do the same thing just because he's the Jordan of soccer. But yeah, $40,000. And then we got Gretzky. Anyone who knows anything about hockey, this is a tough card to grade. It's from 1979, O-Pee-Chee. Wayne Gretzky is known to just be the GOAT of all time for hockey. And so picked this one up in a trade, actually. I traded what did I trade for this? I traded a LeBron and then some cash to get this. Just a card I've always wanted just because he's the GOAT of hockey, and it's a tough card to get. 8.5. This one, the one actually just closed on eBay for about $30,000 shortly after I picked this one up. So around 30,000, could easily be worth more because it's a pretty rare card. All right, last couple guys, and then we'll finish this up. This is much longer. So top two cards, who you guys think it is? Number 2, Tom Brady, and this is out of 1,250 that were printed, so it's a more limited card. It's a 9.5. This one just sold at auction for about $50,000 in a 9.5. My grade's slightly lower, so we'll just say it's worth around $40,000 to $50,000. But great card, Tom Brady, can't go wrong with that. And then we've got number 1, LeBron James. I think some of these are pretty close to each other just in terms of value, and they kind of go up and down slightly. But LeBron James, this is a limited card, only 500 produced. I made a bit of a mistake on this. Something I've learned jumping back into the industry is that there's certain cards that are just more desirable. Sorry, my wife's distracted. Are more desirable than others. When I picked this up, if I would have picked up the LeBron James rookie, so this is the LeBron James rookie, but it's an SP, which is upper deck autograph. And I thought this would be the better pickup, right? Like having an autograph, and it's a limited card to 500. So it's probably worth around $50,000 or so. But the Topps Chrome Refractor, at the same time I picked this up, I could have got for close to the same price. It became more of the iconic card, and it totally outpaced the appreciation of this. I'm probably up to 3x on this one in a matter of a year and a half or so. The other one at the time was probably going around 15, 20 grand. And currently it's going for nuts. It's like $150,000, $200,000, maybe more than that. I'll need to check. But because it's become more of that iconic card that everyone wants, even though it's produced a lot more than this one. But then again, that might mean that there's some value in this to where once people realize this is more rare and a harder card to get, that this will also jump in value. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to end this. But just wanted to share some of these cards with everyone. Thanks for jumping on. I guess overall, guys, I just what I would recommend is just check it out. Like do some research on your own. I do it as more of a hobby. Once I jumped back in, I enjoyed even watching sports even more so. And I just enjoy collecting and seeing that most of these cards, if I were to put a value on my top 20 cards, I think it's a good $250,000 currently. I definitely didn't spend that much on them. But it's, that's just what the card market's doing. It's moving up quickly. I focus on slightly older cards because there's less production. Because of all the people jumping into the business currently, there's a lot more demand. And so the companies making cards right now are producing a lot. And I think if there's too much supply, it's going to saturate the market and those cards aren't going to be worth a whole lot. So that's why you didn't see very many current cards besides limited cards that I showed you, like the Tatis and Erling Haaland that are limited to 50. Other than that, I try to not buy too many of the modern or ultra modern. And so that's just kind of the way, as I've continued to learn more about the market and stuff, Some of the things I've picked up is you want to go after the iconic guys, the guys you enjoy, the guys you like. It's for fun, but then also obviously you could sell these cards, hopefully in the future for hundreds of thousands of dollars. In my case, I feel like if I were to hold on to just all these cards that I just showed you guys, that I'd imagine in another year or two, I'd imagine it's probably over $500,000 at that point, just because the card market's been going crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot more than that, because I would say just in the last year, if you took the values of all these cards, it was probably $100,000, let's say $75,000 worth of cards. And now it's around $250,000 cards. The market's just going up, outpacing stock market. If you enjoy sports, you enjoy collectibles, something you may want to look into. Opportunity to, I love my Cherokee Parks. Cherokee Parks. Is that the baseball player? I don't even know who that is. Cherokee Parks. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I went way longer than I usually like to go on these videos, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Something a little different. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you guys have any questions, whatever, feel free to shoot me a message. Appreciate you guys. And until next week, have a good one. Appreciate it.